Hello, this is Paul Speed, and this is the Mythruna weekly live stream, where we code a little bit of the game. Last week we left off making a butterfly, and today we're going to kind of continue finishing that off. Before we get started, let me thank the patrons. You guys make it definitely easier, so thanks for being around. Alright, so let's get rid of the Drost effect here. And if you guys were able to make it on this earlier day, please say hi. I've tried something different. Like normally this shows like the moderated view or the top chat, and today I'm just doing the live chat, so all messages are visible. I'm wondering if that makes it come up any faster. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys have to say about that. All right. Let me really quickly recap some of the things I did this week. So I started working on the tools, but while that comes up, I could actually show you the butterfly that I basically redid the rig, redid the well, okay, we'll do one thing at a time. Okay, all right, let's jump into the game real quick. Wow, YouTube says my connection strength is excellent. It never says that. I think it probably goes down as soon as I start playing the game. Because there's definitely effect here, because this is usually a little bit faster. Come on, let's go. Okay. So what are the big things I want to show first? One of the big things I want to show first is that, yeah, see, this is running way slower than normal. Let me minimize Blender real quick. Maybe that's something to do with it. There we go. Oh, I left a log statement in too. So let me get rid of this guy. All right. So that'll just, there's another one over here. So let's see. Delete the object. Okay. So one of the things I fixed is before, in order to interact with the objects, you had to have one of the wands selected or one of the general sort of swingable things, you know, so you could open and close it. And if you had the build wand selected, that wouldn't work. So I completely redid the build wand where it's still, if you're editing the ground, it's still a build wand, but if you're not selecting a block, you can actually use it. And so you can even actually drag stuff around. And so now the build wand is a super wand, so it's kind of cool. You can even walk up and talk to them. Yeah. So that's cool. The other thing I worked on was being able to swing weapons and things. So before I had the sort of manual swing thing going on, and I just think that wasn't really going to work. And so now I have a control scheme picked out. Currently there's only one swing style, and that's the horizontal swing. But now you can like swing, and there's like built into it, it knows ramp up time and stuff. So the fact that my sword is down there in the lower right means that I have to lift it before I can do the side swing. And so, you know what? Let me see. Do I have the mouse input turned on? Maybe I can turn the mouse input on and the WASD input so you guys can watch what keys I'm hitting. And let me move this more towards the center of the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, so, whoops. That's going to get rid of my... okay, so now you can see what I'm clicking here. Before we get too far, let me make it daytime again. Okay. So you can see as soon as I click that left mouse button, you know, she lifts the sword. That takes a certain amount of time. Also, if you just click it, nothing happens. That's an actual click, so you can click. But if you click and hold the left mouse button, she lifts the sword, and then she starts swinging it side to side. And once it's in the side to side mode, you know, she'll just keep swinging it side to side, but there's like these sort of activities have phases, and they'll be able to be chained together so that if you're swinging and you're all the way to the left, you know, maybe there's another swing right you can do and stuff that you can chain these things together. So that's the idea, is instead of fully custom stuff, there will be sort of a bunch of different swing styles, and you can chain them together with the middle mouse wheel or some other, you know, other things, and they'll be like you know, sort of effectiveness penalties if you chain too soon and stuff like that. So I think that'll work out well, and I think I can analyze the tool paths and things, or the weapon paths, to see kind of what strength they're hitting things. The next thing would be like let me get the axe out, because the axe is actually what I've been testing with. So if you wanted to chop this, right, the next thing would be to actually stop the axe when it hits something and know where it hit it, and be able to like calculate damage. So you can come over here and, you know, chop Fade's head off, or chop Mariel's head off. Marules, Mayorules. Anyway, so that's what I've been playing with. I briefly played with. They basically rewrote the build once to do that. I briefly played with making Gafen fly, because I was trying to get ready for implementing the butterflies, and sort of figuring out what would work and what would work and what wouldn't work. And so you can see it floats down. I was right on the cusp of making it weightless, but I don't think I'm going to use that approach. There's a bunch of other things that have to happen, but I think when animals are flying, I'm just going to turn off their gravity, kind of like is turned off when we're flying. So let me delete that guy. Okay. So some things are going to have to happen to. Let me get out of here. And we'll look at the. I basically redid the graphics for the. I watched a couple tutorials, and I remembered how to do the rigging, and so I got that working. And so see if we go into pose mode. Oh, gotta select this guy. So, you know, I have like the, you know, idle animations and things, and so. You know, so the butterfly sits there, and the, you know, transparency is not working right in Blender, but it does work right in the game. So I got all that set up, and I redid the texture paint, you know, the painting and the texture. I based it kind of on a blue morpho butterfly, and so I've got, you know, the hand painted wings and stuff, which I did in such a way that I should be able to use other colors as well, and then we'll create some different wing patterns and things later to have a variety of butterflies. First thing to get it into the game, oh, well, I was going to talk about a couple things that need to happen. So let me, so flying mobs. Yeah, my whole system seems a little sluggish. I think it swaps a bunch of things out. So right now, all the steering is in 2D, so we're going to need 3D steering. Whoops. i.e. not just left, right, but up, down. The some of the mover code already has that in there. Hook in to turn off gravity while flying. I think those are the big issues. Because I messed with this and nothing really worked the way I wanted to, and it kind of settled on, you know, the right answer is actually the right answer, which is while they're flying, they basically are not affected by gravity. And then I use 3D steering so that instead of just left, right, they can aim towards things. And the other thing is butterflies should collide with tall grass flowers. Okay, like we can walk through them, NPCs can walk through them, but butterflies should not be able to walk through those. They should be able to land on them and just rest there. So these are sort of the three things I need to tackle. But first, let's get the butterfly ready for the game. Oops. So we're going to load the rigger up for rigging models. Okay. I'm just going to double check that I've got everything set up the way I want. So open the rig, the butterfly rig. Okay, so see right now he intersects the ground. I've got just a basic shape for his body. I think that'll probably be good enough for now. I actually added the ability to turn off that floor so that you could see the whole thing. So anyway, I think he's all set up. He's got a root sphere for where he hits the ground, because during flight, like if we switch to flight, you know, it moves all around, and so there's like the root sphere, which is what its actual position is, and then anyway, that's to make it look a little more random as it flies straight. All right, so the next thing we need to do is export this, or compile it as a binary. All right, so that should have happened, and that would have put it in, it put it in the right place already. So if we look, yeah, that's not helpful, is it? Too much garbage. Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. That's right. Thanks. Definitely better than last week, right? Solid blue wings and bad animations. Fully full bird rig. Once I watched the tutorial and I realized what I was doing wrong, you know, of course I felt like an idiot. So there's an hour of me playing around with rigs last week that's just embarrassing. So let's see, we need the source main resources, rigs, animals, butterfly, and source main resources, animals, butterfly.png, and butterfly.rig.j30. So when we compile binary from the rigging tool, it will make this rig.j30 file, which is what JMonkey Engine wants to use to load it, the actual graphics, and then it'll make a butterfly rig.rt, which is our rig type that gets loaded on the server, and that's what's got the physical properties and what actually controls the animation, you know, from, you know, the AI agent actually controls that thing, and then the information gets sent over to the client, and that moves the animation in the J30. So when we want to make a new butterfly, I think we're going to hack into the current build wand, and I think test wand. So we will add butterfly here. In fact, I'm going to replace town info because it doesn't do anything anymore. Butterfly. Okay, so Gafin. So it goes down here where we do the Gafin. And I'm going to steal this code. Basically, I'm going to make a Gafin that looks like a butterfly for now. Butterfly.rig. And we'll call it butterfly. And the mass will be teeny tiny. Though that's still pretty large, right? Place in world, right over where we clicked. I can get rid of this. The only other one thing I want to do... No, let's see how bad that is. I think it's got idle, it's got walk, it's got everything but eat. So whenever... So as a Gafin, it's going to steal the Gafin behavior by default, I think. Maybe not. Maybe we specifically... Let me see, because I mean, we basically hacked in Gafin and basic NPC without real configurations. And so let's continue that trend, because now we'll have 3. An animal, a flying mob, and an NPC. And now I can start building out real behavior code. Butterfly. And so we'll make it a Gafin for now. And we'll let it wander. Excuse me, just scratch an itch on my ear. I think agent driver may be another place where we've hacked in some Gafin specific stuff that we'll want to do again. So this is another case. where I'm going to have to go back and fix later. Fortunately, butterfly is really easy to find. Hey Lando, how's it going? Welcome to the Thursday night live stream. Okay, so we want to not have eat, because eat doesn't do anything for a butterfly. In fact, yeah, it's not going to matter. That's it. Also, the probe is probably silly. And I'm going to turn off that whole flight thing, because that's not doing anything for me. It's not a human. I just really used my new game. Nice! Survival Craft 2. Very cool. I think there's nothing specific in here. There was one other thing I remembered I have to do for the brain. Maybe I'm wrong. There was something over here that made me think of it. Oh, no, it was over here. We're basically making full-size... Yeah, full-size butterflies, which are like a meter across. So that'll be interesting. We'll fix that late in next time. And we'll see what I forgot. Well, I forgot a brace, a curly brace. Yep. That's a quite common cut and paste error there. And yeah, so that just basically messed up everything. Wow, four concurrent viewers, it says, for a Thursday night. That's pretty good. Thanks for joining, guys. I know it was kind of a weird time. I got lots going on this weekend, so my high school student is in a play tomorrow and a musical tomorrow night and a musical Saturday afternoon, a musical Saturday night. So busy days here. Alright, continue the last world. And I wish there was a way to hook this up to scripting so that, or an easier way to hook it up to scripting. I probably could, but it might take me the rest of the live stream just to get that set up so that we could just keep editing without restarting the game. But let's get this started first. And then if we can make this work, I'm going to go a little bit over the structure of how I've done the AI, because I had to relearn it last time and I didn't on the live stream. I relearned it after. Okay, first of all, let's make it daytime again. Alright, so let's go out here in the middle of nowhere and select butterfly, right click. Uh-oh. Unknown mode butterfly. Oh, that sucks. What did I do wrong? Oh. You guys should have been yelling at the screen. It's the one thing I didn't fix. And that won't reload either, so we gotta start over. When I'm developing by myself, these startups aren't quite as impactful because I'm not, well, for one thing, I'm not trying to entertain you guys. And a lot of times I'll pull up my notes files and I'll start typing notes about different things while it's loading. As long as I don't get too sidetracked from what I was, because sometimes then I get into the game finally and I like can't remember what I was supposed to test. So it's much better if I can hook it up to the dynamic scripting and live reloads and things. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Yeah, and as fast as this is, it's a little slower when I'm doing the live stream. Alrighty. Okay, make it light outside again. Alright. So let's select the butterfly. Boink. Oh boy. Nice. So something is wrong in a big way. Oh, yeah. So I made... Shoot. So one of the things I need to add to the rigging tool is like a analyzer to see the things I forget, because by convention I started to require all models to have certain features. Like if we bring up the Gayfin, it should have one attachment called the COM, the center of mass. So basically you mark an attachment, which is, you can kind of see the little axes there. So you can kind of set where the center of mass is. And I use that for different transforms and things. Essentially, and there's supposed to be a head top too, yeah. So I'm going to need both the center of mass and the head top. One of the things I could have done, and actually I did, and then I deleted it all, was to have cut and pasted the butterfly from the Gayfin, and then it would have started with that stuff. Fortunately, I can do this while that's running. So if we steal these attachments, they won't be in the right place, but I can edit them. I can edit them in the tool. Okay, so there we've got those joints set up. In the rigger, you can select sort of the colliders, and that's the different parts that collide with the world. So, you know, as the Gayfin's running around, if it runs into something, they react to that particular thing. And so you kind of, it's like a loose version of the model. And see, even he has little wing tips and things, so the wings can interact with stuff. And then you have attachments, which for like a human, this is where we put their backpack. It's where I know where their eyes are, and of course the top of their head and their center of mass now too. But these are a requirement, and I really should make it so that when you go to compile it, it analyzes this to see what you're missing, because I could have saved myself a lot of time. Anyway, so let's load the butterfly, and so head top is actually not too bad. That is not the head top, but it is not too far off either. So that's basically where text will appear if this was a real creature, you know, like a NPC or something you could know its name, or in like probably this case, realistically what we would use it for is debug text, right? So if we put that over there, that's probably the best place for text that appears above a butterfly's head. And I'm not going to change the rotation because I don't think we use the orientation for that one. And then the center of mass, is that good? No, it's not at all. Oh yeah, so then basically you just have to zero that out. I think the way I've set this up, the center of mass, we want it to be spine upper, I think, yeah. And even the head top. Do I have a head bone? I guess I do. Alright, so it's got those minimum requirements. We can compile the binary. It puts it in the right place. We do this. Hopefully you understood what I was talking about there. If not, let me know and I can draw a little picture. But for certain operations, I need to know where the center of the object is, and for certain operations, I need to know where the top of the head is. And certainly for debugging the AI, where it puts that little debug text, that's what it uses that top of head marker for. For the player, that's where I know where their hands are. That's where I know where their backpack is supposed to be mounted. When they have sheaths and belts and things, that's how I will know that. And all that good stuff. When I have rideable mounts, that's how I'll tell where the saddle is. That's the other kind of mob type I need soon, is a rideable mount. I think you guys will be surprised about what I make there. Alright, come on. Come on, game, let us in. Actually, it should have left the butterfly created. I guess not. Oh, maybe it failed to create soon enough. Nope, there's a butterfly around here somewhere. It's not loading for some reason. So I'm going to have to do it again. But it's trying to eat, and there's no eat animation, which makes sense. Okay, here we go. It's going to happen. Ah! Whoa! My dude. You are way too fast, my dude. Oh, that's because its mass is so light. The force is used to move it around. Ha ha ha. That's hilarious. Okay. See, it's not flying yet, and it's just going nuts. Okay. But we've got it in the game. Okay, stop. Stop long enough so I can click on you. I'm going to have to... Ah. It's a little too... But it's very much like trying to catch a real butterfly. Okay, so you fell off the... I mean, in 2 minutes it deletes itself, so it's not a huge deal. He's lonely and he's trying to find somebody. Sorry. I'm right here. Right here, come here. Let's put the debug text up. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, where'd it go? Yeah, so see, he's got his debug text that appears above his head. Alright, so... Why? There we go. Delete. Okay. So now there are no more of them. This is probably a pretty good test bed right here. Okay, so we've got some things to fix, obviously. That's hilarious. Yeah, over here by the gallows. That'll be a good place to do it. Okay, so let's fix some things that we know about right away. It's also unfortunate... Yeah, again, because they're not flying. But anyway, it's working. Because they're not flying, that's why he's skimming along on the ground like that. So agent driver. Oh, for test objects, we want to make that smaller. Actually, I think for now I'm going to leave the butterflies giant like that because they're easier to find. If they were tiny, then when it got too far away, we wouldn't be able to see it. So I'm going to leave, that's what I would control that. So that's full scale. Probably I want to set that to 0.1 and mess around with different sizes. And so yeah, he decays in 2 minutes. But over here, because, okay, so the probe is basically ridiculous. I'm going to have to debug that one. But the brain, we need to start making a behavior specific to the butterfly. And so these rigid body movers, which I don't have a way to change the max speed yet, but that would be one thing I can quickly add. Set max speed. That's actually not the problem with the butterfly. The problem with the butterfly is this force multiplier that I pull out of the thin air. You can see there's a big long comment here because I'm trying to figure out where this number comes from, as I usually just find it by trial and error. But it has something to do with the mass. There's like there's a confusion in my head or a confusion in the API of my custom physics engine about what a force is, and I think of force, equals mass times acceleration, and so mass should be involved, but I can't make that number work right. So that's why I have all this debug stuff in here and the big long comment from years ago. So really, for a butterfly, that should be smaller because it is somewhat based on math, or mass rather, and math obviously. But okay, so let's hard code another behavior for now. So what I figured out when I did the NPC, and so I'm going to steal the NPC to start with, because the NPC for now has a closer AI to what I want, because he doesn't stop to eat. So yeah, I think I want running. We don't want the default behavior to be stand still, or the current behavior, sure, stand still, limited to 2 seconds. So yeah, so I even left notes for myself here. So the general structure of the way these global behaviors are supposed to work is at the beginning you have a condition set, that some different conditions that might change the behavior. And then if you're already running a custom behavior, you just let that run. But if for whatever reason that custom behavior, because again, there's a for every brain, there's the global behavior and the current behavior. And so the global behavior is sort of defines the behavior for this NPC, and then the current behavior gets swapped out depending on what is the current priority, whether they're wandering or eating or whatever. And so this global behavior is what we're defining here for the butterfly. And so the first things we'll do is we'll check to see if there's any conditions that make us interrupt whatever is going on. So if the butterfly's hungry, he might stop what he's doing, or if he's being attacked, he might. So basically they interpret their events, they check their status. Yeah, a bit like a finite state machine. You can think of it kind of like a behavior tree where your root behavior has some conditions and interrupts. The reason it's not exactly a state machine is because there are no predefined transitions. There's no and they could end up with that, right? Because I think in state machines, but I like behavior trees. And so I'm kind of like mixing and matching a bit. At any rate, so there's first is conditions. Then we see if we're already running something here, you know, a non-default behavior here, then we just let it continue. But if that turns back to the default behavior, then we check to see if we should pick a new thing to do because we're bored or whatever. So I'm going to take this out because I don't need that here. And yeah, so the butterfly won't talk to us. So, you know, here will be our interrupt conditions. Are we already doing something? Otherwise, figure out something new to do. And in this case, we don't care if a butterfly has a home. We want to wander. Yes, that's the other thing is the NPC. Oh, it does have, okay. So we'll pick a random amount of time. And from 2 to 4 seconds basically, and we'll wander. Yeah, so I missed a, okay, so get rid of this. Because the butterflies can't eat, they can't find flowers yet. What rare? I don't understand the question. What are you using as far as game engine or as far as the editor I'm writing in? Can you be more specific? Okay, so this will wander slowly and randomly without interrupt. Yeah, this editor is called MED. I don't think the guy makes any improvements to it anymore, but it's basically just a general programmer's editor that I started using a long time ago. The syntax highlighting is really easy. It's very fast. It's native code. You hit a key and it enters right instantly. There's nothing between me and getting characters in. So during day job, I use IntelliJ, but when I'm coding by myself, I prefer to be able to type fast and not have it lag. Okay, but we don't want it to wander the whole time. We want to randomly stand still. Yeah. So I needed this. I did need this for the butterfly. Thanks. Yeah, I started using, so long time ago, I used to develop in an operating system called OS2. And I had used various IDEs there from Microsoft and IBM. And then I did I did lots of work in OS2. At some point I did some work in Linux. I can't remember when I found, this used to be called Mr. Ed, and then he changed it to MED. But it was on OS2, and one of the things I really liked about it was how configurable it was. If you have basically any menu item here, and you can click on it, it lets you set the key. And basically, when I started using this back in the 90s, the 1990s, last century, that was like truly great. Like the fact that you could customize it so easily just by, hey, I want general settings to be under this key or whatever. You could just totally customize it. The way you configure syntax highlighting is dead simple. You can set up templates, and it gets wild. You can even set up little macros that'll open up like dialogues and things and get in. So like when I create a new file, for example, like if I was to create a new foo.java file, it pops up a little template and asks me some things, and it'll fill in a based on what I put in there, it'll fill in the template. And anyway, it's got some just really simple stuff, nothing complicated like a real IDE will do. But back then it was just like gold to have like something that would operate really fast. And so then when I moved to Windows development and I saw that the guy had ported it to Windows, I picked it up, and so I've been buying it ever since. On Linux, I think I use Sublime for the similar purpose. Except for a day job where I'm on Linux and I use IntelliJ. Okay, so basically 50-50 chance that this guy will stand for 0 to 2 seconds, just like the NPC, and a 50% chance then that he'll wander around for 4 seconds. And then we can see if I've got the speed drilled in okay, and then maybe we can start working on, I'll give it at least another 20 minutes or so, see if we can make it fly. Cold beverage. Not a bad turnout for a Thursday night. Thanks everyone for showing up. And if you're new to this channel, or new to the channel, subscribe if you like the video, etc. But also up in the upper left corner here is where you can download the last version of the game I released, which was earlier this month. If you look in the upper left, it's got the super secret download link and the password. And that's also where you can get a link to the Discord if you're not on the Discord already. Alright, so let's make it light outside again. I haven't been working on this project since the 90s. I've been developing software professionally since the 90s. I started Mythruna like February of 2011, and had the initial version back then If you go to the regular Mythruna.com site and download, that's the original Mythruna. This is kind of Mythruna version 2, if you think of it. Yeah, the original version was, I started in 2011. By that April, I had like the network version out, and it was consuming all of my free time between development and hanging out with folks on the server, because I basically public released it to anybody, and we always had 4 or 5 people in my public server. I think I had 1,000 total users at some point, and anyway. And then the next year, my wife's brain cancer came back, and the rest is kind of history as far as the amount of time I was able to spend on it. Okay, so let's make a butterfly. Hey, look at him go. Zooming around. I think I need to make the butterfly heavier just so he's not... Holy crap. That is a fast butterfly. And I think because he's so light, he doesn't have any friction either, which is why he's, yeah, I think I'm going to have to make him heavier until I can work that out. So, there's his collision shapes. I do Control F12, there we get his probe. The probe looks okay. When he's smaller, it'll have to be smaller. But it's weird how... So that's the other issue, is that regular player animation, the slower I walk, the slower the animation should run. But for a butterfly, the wings should flap at the same speed no matter what. And so this is another case where the butterfly is a unique opportunity to do something different, because other things like fish and birds will be the same way, where basically their animation speed doesn't directly relate to, basically their feet on the ground. I spend a long time making sure Fade's feet, touch the ground and move on the ground in a realistic way, so she doesn't look like she's skidding around. Of course, if I do weird things, it will look like she's skidding around. But yeah, so let me get rid of these guys. So he can't sit still because I can't even... let me go back in here so I can read whatever is happening on his... So default idle, I think is what it says. Oh, it's trying to... Oh, I never... Shoot. We defined that whole new behavior, but I don't actually set it. It's still setting the Gafen behavior. So we saw it trying to eat. So this should be better. Trying to decide if I give the butterfly a little weight for now. Just thinking. Like a 10 kilogram butterfly. That's kind of crazy. But at least we'll be able to see it move around without skidding all over the world. And I may need a custom fly behavior. Yeah, this is interesting because there's a lot of problems to work out that are specific to flying and swimming creatures. So this is a good mob to have in the game. It's like the simplest flying mob you could ever make, right? Two flat polygons and a body. Yeah, a rig with all of 4 bones in it or something. And that was only because I decided I wanted the body to be in 2 parts. Okay, so daylight. Alright. Butterfly, let's try this again. Hey, that's better. Alright. Okay, so if he was up off the ground, that would look like a butterfly flying around. Even the animation speed's not bad. Yep, stood still for a second, doing its idle thing. Okay, not bad. Alright, so we've got it in the game. I'm going to leave it weighing 10 kilograms. That's 22 pounds, 22.2 pounds in freedom units. Right, 22, or just 22, 2.2 kilograms per pound, something like that. Or 2.2 pounds per kilogram. Anyway, yeah, so what's next? We've got to make it fly. Although I'm pretty happy that it's in the game. That's pretty cool. Alright, so let's get rid of you. Butterfly needs to go on a diet. Yeah, so let me also make him small. Small. So I'm going to leave him at the same weight and make him 1/10 the size to sort of see what that looks like. I actually like the timing for that idle, and because a butterfly wouldn't sit in one place for very long unless its wings are wet. And then it's got to dry them out. Yeah, for the player skin, what I did to do the different skin colors is I took the base texture and I kind of desaturated it so that it still had some color in, but I basically took the most common color out of it. You basically, if you want to think of it, divided it out so that if I added a color, if I multiplied by a particular skin shade, I could get different shades of player or NPC, human, whatever. I'd like to do a similar thing with this particular butterfly, so that I could have purple, blue, red, whatever. Did not make it smaller. But why though? Why though? I wonder if the rig is ignoring the scale. That is a possibility. Referencing, there's a word in there I can't see. But yeah, I'm thinking for the rigs, I must ignore the scale, in which case I have to make the butterfly the size I want it to be. Yeah, I suspect that's what it is, that the rigs can't be scaled because their physics would do weird things. So what we will do, fortunately this is not a big deal because the rigging tool is already set up for that. You can see I have scripts that I can associate with it, and even like target model scripts. So if we look at the Gafen's a bad example. Like human male to rig. So there's sort of cleanup scripts, post-proc scripts, and so if I do so if I do models, where do we store models, animals? Yeah, so Gafen had its own little thing, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do models, animals, butterfly, post.groovy. And so if we go into models, animals, butterfly, post.groovy, then we look at post-proc models, human male, post-proc.groovy. Yeah, so we should be able to say model. Where do I reset the scale such that normally I do that on load, and really maybe I would want to do that even here. So yeah, alright, so let's do this a little different. Let's do it on load so I can see what size it is in the actual tool. So butterfly rescale. So the cursor went away. This is when I leave the. This editor is not without bugs. When it's been open for a really long time, it sometimes has those little bits of corruption. Yes, I want to permanently delete that. Okay, so butterfly rescale.groovy, and we will steal model root rig. Where are we setting the scale? M. M is the model root, and then we find first rig, and then we set the scale back and we do that. Okay, so I'm going to steal all this. I'm not going to use it all, but I'm going to steal it all, and then it's doing some other, so we don't need to do that. But so we get the model root, find the, we didn't need that to begin with, find the rig, we don't really need the world bound. Well, I mean, we can show it, I guess, if we want to see it. And we just want to set the scale to 0.1. Set the scale, show the world bound again, show the so this, that's fine. All debug stuff. Okay. Run the rigger. Okay. Open the rig. Butterfly. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Cannot invoke method on null object. Oh. There won't be real 10 kilogram butterflies. I'm gonna fix that. I am just trying to change as few things as possible. So apparently the butterfly, so the butterfly is going to be different because it is not a meta rig. So probably I'm looking for armature. Yeah, in fact, I need to delete that. That's not any good anymore. So this should have done a, yeah, there we go. Nope. Should have done a probe. Maybe it doesn't do that until after. Alright, well, we can do this the dumb way, which is if we look at this one, we can just get rid of this for a second. Model, find all, Spatials. I think that works. Print line. Spatial name. Okay, let's see what happens if I do that. A little debugging on the fly here. But ooh, didn't even like that. No such property spatial for. It's because I didn't import it. Butterfly. Okay, so there's our butterfly. So it starts node scene. Yeah, so see it probed it for us. I didn't actually have to do that. I just had to have a working script. And then the armature. So that's what we want to look up is the armature. So let's try. Armature. And let's get rid of this extra. Okay, see what happens now. Butterfly. Oh, he's teeny tiny. Can't hardly see him. He's so teeny tiny. Trying to decide if I like that size. One of these is a meter. One of these 4x4 blocks is a meter. And I kind of like the idea of having slightly oversized butterflies. For now, I'm going to double the size of him. So let's reopen him. Okay, so that's a little bit bigger. And actually that this bounding sphere is a little closer to the right size, but I'm going to make it smaller. I just kind of want it tightened in on there. Actually, that's as small as I can make it. So this is a good size for the butterfly. Bird-sized, basically. I think birds will be a little larger to compete, but I kind of like the idea of slightly oversized small animals. All right, compile the binary. And oh, let me just double check that these guys are still, no, these are not in reasonable places at all. So head top needs to come back down here. Oh yeah, it could be basically 0. I can't get any closer, so I don't know. Then Z. Yeah. That'll work. And then center of mass, oh yeah, way off. Yeah. I mean, the 0.1 was a realistically sized butterfly for a large butterfly. I think we'll see in the game whether this is ridiculous or not, but I kind of like it a little oversized. So let me save the rig, compile the binary, exit. Okay. And if I've set everything up right, I shouldn't have to copy anything anywhere, because for the human and elf models, I constantly had to copy resources around because I didn't set them up right. So every time I make a change, I have to copy stuff. Make a change in Blender, copy it over. Whereas here, Blender saves it in a place that this guy's expecting. Yeah, actually, I think now that I think about how big that butterfly was, the big one, this might still be too big. This might be bird-sized. For even what I was thinking about for larger birds, this is, I think for regular birds, I kind of want them to be real-life parrot-sized, just to give them a little bit of pop in the world. Oh, I left a butterfly around. Oh, cool. Actually, he looks pretty good. Smaller than I thought, actually. So that's good. Actually, I like it. He's wandering. So yeah, they would appear in flocks. So somewhere like this, a chance of a butterfly appearing is large enough so that you might have, if these were flowers, you might have 3 or 4 butterflies appear. These are going to, this is the other thing, is this is going to be, butterflies are going to be like pure random encounter. They're not going to be like NPCs or other animals that actually live and have lives. If you approach an area that has flowers, there's a chance that they'll randomly spawn, and when you leave that area, they're going to despawn. So that's another mechanic I have to work out. So that's actually pretty good. I like it. Let me go find some flowers so that we can... It looks like there's a bunch of flowers over here. Could just be more of those leaves, though. Yeah. So these are just shrubs. We're in kind of a grassland, so it's maybe not rich enough soil to grow. Crap. My work machine told me I had 8 days to reboot it, but I had to keep hitting the snooze button, and it finally decided it was going to just do it without me. And so now I've lost where I was for day job work. Okay, so I forget that I can put flowers wherever I want. So let's just do that. Super fast run back to town. Okay, where was I before? Where's my NPC? There it is. Okay. So yeah, over by the gallows. So let's select the build wand. One day I need a way to do that without popping the inventory open. Yeah, so see where these you can see this yellow box around this. That's what I want the butterfly to be on top of, so I don't want it to fall through. Actually, let's take this and then go here. We got flora. Let's do flowers 3, I guess. Boink, boink, boink. Actually, let's make a variety of flowers. Why not? Oops. So, yeah, I won't go off on that tangent. But that whole being able to click on stuff through the, the fact that the build one can click on objects, it's a little frustrating when some objects looks like you can click through, but you can't. That's a collision shape problem. Okay, so we got a bunch of flowers. That's enough for testing equip. And so this will give one of the behaviors of the butterfly is supposed to be that he looks around for flowers to fly to and just doesn't wander around aimlessly. So that's something, behavior I could work on. Okay, boink. So let's see, that's a good size for a realistic butterfly. But I kind of still want him to be a little bigger, maybe. I don't know. Let me get rid of his debug text for a second. So pretend he's on top of that flower instead of underneath it. I think it's the right size for a realistic butterfly. But again, I kind of think I want him bigger. And we haven't even dealt with flying yet. I don't think we're going to get to flying tonight. But how it would work is... So I have to think about that. Oh, thanks. Yeah, and I wish I was still running the tool. Yeah, in fact, maybe this is a good way to wrap it up. I'll talk a little bit about the world. If you have any questions real quick, let me get back in. And, because if you are new to the game, maybe you would like some parameters about what's going on. But yeah, for even now, for any spot of the world, I can tell you what the climate is, what its average rainfall is, and so on and so forth. I haven't factored seasons in, so temperature will have some variability based on seasons and terrain. If you go higher up, it gets colder, that kind of thing, but I think there would be some other variability as well. But if you're new to this new version of Mythruna or Mythruna at all, the goal was to have, these far horizons. And come on. So let me go ahead and lock the time so it's not moving on us. So if I have this test wand, like you can see, I can click anywhere and it'll tell me the climate info. It's hard to read, but you can see it's telling me the foliage level for that particular block I clicked on. The average temperature here is basically 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and the average rainfall is pretty good. 74 inches is reasonably wet, but yeah, so you get like different zones, and it knows what's supposed to grow here, and that's why flowers didn't grow here, because it's just not a very hospitable place for flowers to grow. Oops, how about I close this so that I can fly. Let's go see if we can balance on the top of one of these buildings. So that mountain we can see, I cannot, there we go. That mountain we can see off in the distance. There's a little building on top of it. That's the spawn tower. There's another tower here. Yeah, I keep sliding down the... I added ramp physics, and now I can't stand on top of buildings anymore. But you can see there's another building there. That's some kind of tower. These are really far away. If we look at the overland map, so we're here looking back at... So each of these squares is what I call a Mythruna kilometer. So that's 1,024 meters. And this is that mountain we're looking at with the spawn tower on top. If we zoom in, we can see that's the spawn tower. And so that's like probably almost 2 kilometers away. And so that's how far, I'm sure we're quite a bit farther than that. If we come up, you can see like in 8 kilometers in all directions, basically. And so if we were to real quickly fly over here, of course it's real quick is relative, right? So we can kind of see that, well, we can see the town we just left is still there. There's a farm over here. And so yeah, we're in some of the dry grasslands here. Let me drop down here and let's do a soil test real quick. Doink, doink, doink. Yeah, so I'm going faster than any human would normally be able to go, even if they were flying, because there's a special super fast run that's in the debug version. So if we click down here, get the climate info. So relatively warm, average temperature. I guess it's basically the foliage level is what keeps it down. The wetness level is also not great. Thank you, guys. So let's real quickly go back over to this tower that we could see from way off in the distance. And you can kind of see there's a level of detail thing going on. This is not, fully detailed terrain or fully detailed trees, and you can see some popping. But notice that we're going really fast. If I'm walking on the ground, it's a little less apparent. So I'm running right now. If we go back, hit third person. So I'm running faster than the jog animation can show. And if I hit the control key, that's the super fast run. It goes like crazy fast. But you can see that tower up there, some kind of wizard's tower. There's no wizard in there, but that's what it is. And so you can kind of see it coming into view. But again, the world generates in like 16 kilometer chunks, and like these are quest markers for different quests I've got. So if you zoom out, this is basically the area we can see from here. If I was to fly up enough, you could see the water In fact, let's do that maybe. I'll look straight down, straight south, and I'll fly up enough so that I can see that water off in the distance. Yeah, spawn tower up here. Yeah, you can kind of see the water off in the distance there. And there's a town over there. We can't see it from this distance, but if we got a little closer, we'd be able to see it. So it's just kind of cool. Thanks. Yeah, there's so much work went into these fractals to, and again, there's like really varied terrain. You'll get some places that have like plateaus and things. Look, see, can we see off over there? We cannot. I'm not really wired up to jump around, but this is one type of terrain. There are different types of terrain that generate, you get really sort of wild mountains. You get, not necessarily near the spawn in this world, but you'll get rainforest type of density, whereas you walk through the tree cover, it's darkened because light doesn't really get down there, so it's a little darker. But I highly encourage you, if you haven't tried the game, the download link's up here. You can gen up. This is World Seed 321 if you want to play the same one, but you can put in any seed and play around a little bit, explore a little bit, make a house, find a town you like, take it over. And as the game develops, there'll be more stuff to do. I think that's where I'm going to stop it for the butterflies tonight, because I do have work in the morning, unfortunately. But yeah, so it's just fun to kind of run around. And the quests give, hey, look, naturally occurring flowers. So, and the quest markers and stuff that we can get from NPCs give us a little more. So here's dry grass that grew underneath this tree because it's in the shade. That's another thing that happens in the deep shade. So you get this little tufts of dry grass that grow. Eventually there'll be dead, dry leaves and things that accumulate under trees. But, all right, any last questions before I start to wrap it up? I need to go back to that town, actually. That's where my testing happens. So let's start heading that way. I'm going to wander towards that town real fast, and then you guys can, if there's any more questions while I run over there. Super fast run. One thing. So, and it'll be cool when I get the actual mineral layers and stuff in, because there's more rock types than just that gray stone, but they don't generate yet. Yeah, right, that is how it's set up now. I don't think my joystick's plugged in, but if I could walk slower, which I can't, then the animation speed is controlled by how fast you walk. With the joystick, you can just press the joystick a little bit and you can walk slower, because this instantly runs into jog if I hit the cursor keys. And there is no run animation for her yet, so that's why when I do this, it's like super fast ridiculous, because there's no run animation, only the jog. And so it goes fast enough for her feet to be on the ground in the right places, but it's not. It's nonsense. And so actually, if we go back to the town, the NPCs are using the same models, and they'll, so let's just fly for a second. Because there it is. There's the town. The shadow from the blocks doesn't look very good. Yeah, I mean, I have 100 different things I want to do to make the engine look prettier. But as I've said on YouTube comments and stuff before, the original version of the engine, I spent 2 years making it look really pretty for the time, and I still ended up with no game. So I'm kind of concentrating on game features, and once I have living towns with people living in them, and quests and dungeons that you can go kill the monsters in, and like you can completely customize your own. You can build your own weapons and things, and assemble them in different ways into animated things. There's just true customization in here, where even these items were created using the in-game tools. And to get all that working, with loot and dungeons and stuff, and then I'll circle back and I'll make some of this prettier. I have a lot of ideas I want to do for smoothing the edges of the blocks, and while there's fully random buildings too right now, there's these buildings were randomized using the random building generator, but I basically prefabbed like 8 of them and just randomly placed them around. So if we go over here to our NPC, they actually walk, they don't jog everywhere. So he's just walking around doing his thing. Or I think that's actually she. Of course, she's stuck on the, because her home is the NPC's home is inside this block, and so she's constantly trying to walk over there. Anyway, this is the game. Give it a try. YouTube does not do it justice. If you give it a try and walk around in game, it looks much better. YouTube compression does nasty things to this. So anyway, yeah. So I'm basically probably gonna work on the butterfly again next week, because during the regular development, I've been concentrating on the tool animations and swinging to get that looking right, because I want to get tree chopping down. Basically, I want to chop trees down. Chop, chop, chop. It's like ridiculous. I'm gonna go customize those animations later too. Yeah. And I've got this set up to low latency mode, so it's even worse, so that I can read your guys' chat messages, sooner than 30 seconds later. All right. Any other questions? So, like, for example, this chest, this lockbox here, I made this in-game. The fact that you can open it and close it, I made that in-game with the blueprint editor and the workbench. So that is this, probably small wood chest. Yep. So it's the small wood chest. If I go here, I can see it open and closed. Yeah. Well, part of the issue also is, and we're getting kind of off topic here, this is not so bad, but I'm on low latency mode, so YouTube is doing extra compression, and so you'll see lots of marshmallows when I'm looking around. But even my videos, they tend to, Mythruna likes its dark, right? As one of the other players called it, it's like FU darkness, right? When you go into some place and it's like, it gets really dark, and video compression algorithms hate dark areas like this, because black is, you get banding and stuff. So yes, if we made a hole here and drilled down underneath the, so you see it gets crazy dark. And that does bad things to, I went under the town, that's interesting. So anyway. Yeah, look, ramps. Alright, so I think that's probably where I should end it and get some dinner before I have to go to bed and get up early. Why are you just standing there? Oh, you're not. You're just hanging out. Okay. No, I'm still looking for your axe. Okay. Alright, guys. Thanks for joining me. We had quite a few people on. I think almost more than on Friday nights. Again, join the Discord if you haven't. Like, comment, subscribe. Oops. Let's see. Let me pull up the thanks thing. Right. Oh, there we go. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, etc. Join the Discord. The link was in the upper corner. Thanks again to the patrons. And I will see you guys online and next week, if not sooner. Thanks.